everyone, welcome back to 100 Blocks in 2025. And we are coming down to the wire now. So I am working on block number 79 today. It is fall. I'm wearing a sweater. It's been a little bit rainy and it brings me to mind that I want to be a little bit more cozy in the sewing studio. I'm ready for fall. I don't know about any of you, but love all the seasons and I am really ready for fall. So I thought we'd do a fall block today, and I'm going to take my inspiration out of the Farmer's Wife book. So let's see what block we're going to do. All right, everyone, today's block is the maple leaf block. I'm inspired by block number 56 on page 183. Now, as per usual, the Farmer's Wife block uses a few templates here, and I'm going to skip those. But I've gone ahead and put some measurements in my book so I know exactly how I want to put my blocks together. And since I'm doing colored blocks, instead of having a background with a color the way we've done here, sort of cream or white or something like that, that's done in the Farmer's Wife, I'm going to use my light and dark values to make my blocks. So let's start with our maple leaf. And what we need for this block, we have one background square here. So that's going to be a 2.5-inch square. That's what I have here. I am reading 1, 2, 3 at least of the colored squares that are 2.5, which is what I have here. And I have one extra square, which I'm going to use to do a flip and fold method to make my stem. So there's 4 2.5-inch squares here. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 half square triangles. So in order to make those at 2.5, I need 2 squares each of a dark and a light. So I've got 2 3-inch squares of dark and 2 3-inch squares of light. And then you'll notice I got these little guys up here. So I have cut 2 squares that are 2 inches out of my background fabric, and that's what I'm going to use to make my stem. So here is everything I need for my red block, and we're going to sew this as we go. But since I'm making other fall colors, because I thought it would be fun to make a few extra leaves, I have some steps over here that I want to go over. So the first thing that we have to do for our blocks, pretty easy to lay out our parts as needed here, because if I lay out my block as I need to, I'm going to have at least my upper square here in my background, and then I'm definitely going to have this 2.5-inch square here. I'm also going to have another one here. Let's move these out of the way. And I'm going to have another one here. And then, like I said, my half square triangles are going to go here. And then I'm going to use the 4th one to create this stem area. So I'm going to use my 2 little squares to create my stem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, for my stem, I'm going to lay my square, my smaller square here on top of my larger square, and you can see I should have a 1/2 inch around, and I'm going to stitch diagonally through the center right here so that I get a flip and fold block. And then once this flips up, I'm going to be able to lay the other square on top, and let me show you what that looks like. So here is my yellow square, and if we're doing it the exact same way we have here, I have laid my yellow square down right here, and I have sewn diagonally, and then I have flipped and just finger pressed this out of the way so that I can then lay my next square down, and I'm going to do the same thing, sewing diagonal point to diagonal point. And then what happens, once I open the squares up, I can trim out the fabric that is behind them, and I will have this center stem. So there we go. There's my orange block, and my backgrounds are trimmed out once they're sewn, and there is my 2.5-inch square. And you can see here, if I were to lay my stem right in here, that it would fit. So that's how we're going to do the stem. That gives me the stem part. And then we're going to do our half square triangles, and our half square triangles are going to be built with our 3-inch squares. So we're going to lay our 3-inch squares together, light and dark, and we're going to stitch, as I've done here with my yellow squares. I'm actually going to stitch, there's my center line so you can see it. I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch on either side of that center line. And then we're going to use our handy dandy, clearly perfect slotted trimmer, and we're going to trim those. We will cut through that center, and we will lay this down and trim around the top, cut off the dog ears, and have our triangles ready to go. So here are our half square triangles. Let's move our red out of the way. So here are our half square triangles, and if I were going to lay this block out to be finished, I'm going to lay my half square triangles exactly as the pattern shows. These are my little orange blocks. And then we have our orange squares, which are going to go in the opposite spaces here that make up the body of our leaf. We'll then have our background of orange, and then we'll have our stem. And then we can go ahead and sew our leaf block just like we would a 9-patch block, being very careful to press our seams in such a way we can nest them, because we definitely want these lines to be as crisp as possible, especially in here where your triangle points are going to matter. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew my orange block together, and all the others for that matter, and we'll come back here and see what they look like when they're all done. Well, we're back, and as you can see, we've gone ahead and done all the parts of the blocks to have our 3 new maple leaf blocks, our red, our yellow, and our orange. What do you think about our beautiful maple leaf blocks? I think they turned out really lovely, and these are all steps that you've done before, the flip and fold and the half square triangle. So these make a very easy block to do if, like, you know, you're sitting at your house on a rainy Saturday or Sunday afternoon and you're looking for something to do. You can get caught up, and who's to say in the fall that we don't have beautiful teal leaves and beautiful purple leaves and anything else that you can find out there. I actually have a plant on my porch right now that has both green and purple leaves on it. So you can add whatever it is that you want in any color that you want. So this would be a great block to make all 8 colors in your beautiful maple leaf. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you're still making your blocks. And you know, if you're finding these videos later than 2025, you can still make them. It's still fun. But I hope you're enjoying these little lessons, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Catch me for inspiration on cabinquilters.com.